All right, so Bismillah. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining again. Let me just go back. Before we start, I'm going to start with the interesting poll on. Okay, so all right. Somehow, okay, I haven't checked it. This is my bad. Somehow, all the polls are coming on the same screen. So why not everybody just look for the first and provide their input? How you have you ever used the stable? All right. So Dr. Mufti Umar Sheikh Saab, thank you for joining.
Thank
Inshallah,
you.
today will be very interesting topic we are going to cover.
Mhm.
Okay, so inshallah we'll initiate. I we did compile a little presentation just to orient everybody, and then inshallah we'll have some interesting discussion around it. And feel free, never hesitate to ask any question. No question is a wrong question. Is the is a thought process will follow. So stable coins and the future of digital payment and halal, the promise. So I mean, what is the impact on Islamic finance when it comes to the stable coin as an instrument? I think everybody know. I see the poll here. Have you ever used stable coins? So, mashallah, I see 33% of the folks are using it regularly. 33% are saying they know about it, but they haven't used it, and 33 is saying that I'm familiar with stable coin, but they haven't used it. So that's really encouraging. Um, so as you most of the folks would know that stablecoin is just a reflection of a payment currency, right? When I started work, like understanding stablecoin in one level down, I was thinking like, what is the difference between a stablecoin and a CBDC, central bank digital currency? Right? So I was always confused that CBDC and a stablecoin would be the same thing. A stablecoin is you can have a regulated stable coin, right? And I don't think so. You can have an unregulated stable coin. Maybe there are some stable coin out there which I might not know, but you have to have a issuer's license to issue stable coin from your central bank or regulator. Um, Stable coin can be issued by any issuer who's regulated. It does not have to be the central bank. For example, like let's say if I have a license in El Salvador uh, of issuing or El Salvador or Singapore or elsewhere in UAE or Qatar, maybe. If I have a license to issue stablecoin, I can do it as a private institution. All I have to do is that back that stablecoin with a fiat currency, meaning that I have to prove the reserve of that fiat currency in for the regulator. So any $1 or one UAE real, sorry, dirham, or one Qatari real um, stable coin, I have to have that same amount in my reserve. So I can demonstrate to the regulator that yes, I am issuing the stable coin against some fiat currency, which is regulated. Central bank digital currency, on the other hand, which is being involved, is not at the level of where stable coin is. As you see my screen, the stable coin is the market cap, with my knowledge, is close to 330 $13 billion. That's the market cap of stablecoin. Of course, we don't have that equivalent amount of CBDC issued in circulation. Still, many CBDC are in pilot stage, right? They haven't gotten to the use cases of um, remittances, for example, off ramping, on ramping, all those use cases those CBDC haven't done. So CBDC is can be only issued by regulators, right, of the country, like central bank. Uh, very evident with the name. Plus, CBDC is backed by the local currency of the country. So it's just like a reflection of the local currency in circulation. CBDC is the reflection on the country of the coin would be backed by that in the circulation. A stable coin, on the other hand, as an issuer, when we go little deep in the stable coin, we can have we can shape a stable coin for our own use case also. Like I can have a stable coin just for remittance, and I could say that I'm issuing this is stable coin for my remittances for border payment, and this is how it's going to work. And we will discuss that. So a private institution can issue a stable coin and run it, or as a consumer like you and me, and maybe let's say um, a remittance company like Western Union or else, they can also inherit stablecoin, and we see their use cases. They can also inherit it as a consumer, and they can use it and then package the product. So the market cap, coming back to with this clear out, the market cap of stablecoin 313 billion. We are seeing that the transfer value of stablecoin is close to 33 trillion, right? That's the end of period 2025 position figures. Um, and we are seeing that the remittance costs, um, the impact on the remittance cost after the stable coin, and that's why we see this is where we see the huge adoption remittance, the huge adoption of stable coin. These USDC most popular is on the remittance, and a typical average remittance cost is 6.5% of the amount sent by the person to Bangladesh, to India, to Pakistan, to Philippines or Egypt, right? Is 6.5. With the stablecoin, is it hovers between 1 to 2%. All right, and everybody knows why is because in the blockchain there is no middleman, right? I can just bypass many hops, and I can send the direct transfer to a bank in Pakistan or India or Bangladesh or wherever, and the bank can convert that currency and give it to the beneficiary. There is a huge demand when it comes to stablecoin into the geographies like where we are having demographics which are, for example, into cross-border business. So use case like Fiverr, like remote jobs, I can basically go to the Fiverr, and everybody know Fiverr or Upwork on a like platform. A lot of use cases are coming from that side. So many Fiverr uh, skilled worker, they are preferring stablecoin over fiat because it gives them more spread to be paid using stablecoin. So with that, I'll just go quickly run a couple of slides to everybody. Um, as we discussed, a digital cash, it holds the value of that cash. If it is, for example, on the first one, if it is USDT or USDCs, remember these two are private issuers, right? Um, and the popular is going USDC. There has been discussion in the US to move USDC or use the USDC. USDC means US dollar circle. Circle is a company name, and USDT means US dollar tether. Tether is a company, right? So Tether is more older than Circle, but Circle is growing very fast, and most likely they'll end up into the Federal Reserve settlement rail also. Um, and then there are a couple of stable coin which are crypto based, which are gold based, and one of the stable coin was algorithmic based, right? Pegged by a code. It got failed, got burned basically. The use case did not fly. If you observe, you're seeing stable coin, but I was talking about only USDT and USD sort of a stable coin, but then you are also seeing the crypto base and the commodity base, right? And the question you would be asking that, okay, so what about the Sharia structuring of it? And I'll let Dr. Sheikh Mufti Umar to chime about it later after I run this slide. But of course, in Islam, when it comes to the use cases, we can, as an issuer, if we have license, we can be creative. We can create a stable coin which is the hybrid of commodity, all right, or a high quality asset versus a fiat bank. So, for example, we can say that we want to launch a cross-border stable coin in Asia or somewhere or in Canada or US, and the stable coin has to be Sharia compliant. To be Sharia compliant, we are going to have it asset backed. For asset backed, what I will do is that I will park high quality asset backed for the for the stability of the stable coin. So, I'll just take those commodity which are really hot and I'll merge it. But I will also keep some fiat back uh, as a what do you call in my pool, so I can balance it out. So if the high quality asset somehow goes down, the US dollar is asset, or the US dollar backed coin can compensate, and we can have a stability over it, right? As mentioned by the name, stablecoin has to be stable. Otherwise, it will is not workable, right? That's the whole purpose of stablecoin, that it has to peg somewhere. So the transaction or the remittance, when we are doing conversion, the conversion from US dollar will stay to the US dollars, and the entire settlement is happening using the US dollar. So it has to be stabilized in somehow. So we'll discuss about those some concept in the Q and also. There are a couple of projects out there which are working already on Sharia-compliant stablecoin. All right. Then the question is that, so I just want to clarify that concept, because most of the people think that the stablecoin can be only currency backed. No, it can be commodity backed as well, or it can be a hybrid, whatever works. The structure, the end goal is that you have to have a proof of reserve, which is not opaque. It's very transparent, and it is reported to the central bank, your regulator. Plus, it has to be stable at your best level. So, how the stable coin works in tandem? If we'll take an example of USDC. So, example is that Tender have uh, a local currency license, right? And after the KYC and AML is done, the sender pays in dollars. And then immediately what the issuer would do, or the company would do, that they will give them a uh, token against that dollar. Just like cryptocurrency, the stablecoin travels on chain. I can transfer from wallet to wallet, one blockchain wallet to another wallet, uh, account or numbers, right? ID. And then once the recipient receives the stable coin, and the recipient can be a direct beneficiary, right? Which is a hard use case to find. There can be an instance where we can directly transfer it. That's not a problem. But I think the more popular cases would be that we are seeing is that the bank receives the stable coin and they convert it into local currency and give it to the banking account, or it can directly go to the wallet as well. The redemption, as I just mentioned, once the conversion is done, is the purpose of stable coin is done and it is converted to fiat, immediately we have to kill the or the burn the coin. Why? Because if the coin exists, then there is going to be a problem, because there is no backing of the fiat in the reserve here, right? So once that is done, we burn the token or we kill the token, and then we provide a regular audit report and proof backing to the regulators, right, or the ecosystem. That's a nutshell. It is not a rocket science. The rocket science is basically is here, and it's here at the redemption. What is the rocket science? How you going to wire up how you going to structure a stable coin and proof of reserve, which is very important, right, and make it stabilized. The redemption part is that, okay, how many in an instance, like Fahad is saying, that when it is off ramp or the conversion is happening, how many banks are supporting it? Honestly speaking, not many, right? But it's a very big, phenomenal business model. Mashallah, companies like Facet, there are a couple of other companies we'll talk about. They are really doing well in when it comes to Islamic finance. Now the big question that, can we have a stable coin backed by an asset, right? Yes, we can. And I'll let Dr. Umar talk about it like right of the discussion, but I'll just quickly go through this, that there has to be halal reserve, that you cannot have a yield against them because it's like cash, right? Yes, on high quality, when I was talking about the high quality, the discussion go deep, that okay, if those are generating some sort of a revenue or yield, then what to do? Right? Does it goes to the Madarif 100% and we keep the ecosystem tidy? Yes, those discussions are fluid. Um, we have to mint and redeem at par. It cannot go beyond that value, right? There has to be Sharia governance. We have to report to Sharia governance what is happening, especially the one-on-one possession has to be looked, right? Um, there are live examples we can check, right? PUSD is one coming up. I have to study it. I haven't, as it is doing regulated one. Um, where now we'll talk about the product more here on this slide, like how the stablecoin issuer is making the generating the revenue. Of course, the spread. The traditional rail, as we spoke, is 6.5, right? And there's a billions and trillions of dollars are being remitted. So in that remittance, if we take a little margin, of course, we can generate a revenue. And then when we are, let's say we are rolling out a product and we do it like 1.5, we can have like 300 basis point as a revenue. Or we can, when we are converting it, we can have it, or we can charge some fixed fee or sort of it. But I mean, we have a ample amount from 6.5 to 1 to 2% to play around with, and this is where the adoption will rise. Um, and remittance is one of the popular use case. Of course, many people want to have dollar access, right? They want to, and it's not a right thing to do, but I am seeing like many behavior of user, they are just buying USDT or USDC just to hedge because, for example, in Pakistan the currency fluctuation is really high, it erodes high. They want to keep the dollar into their wallet, right? Because of some limitation in their country. B2B trade, I just mentioned, Fiverr is a very popular use case. So most of the merchants want to use stablecoin and receive stablecoin. Then we are seeing institution adoption like with Master and Visa and Mastercard. They have started settling, and they are. I think they are power pilot. And anybody, if anybody on this call have more knowledge, they can, inshallah, talk to us and they maybe they can guide. But I see Visa and Mastercard, especially in US, they have a very good pilot and they are using fintech as a use cases to offer stablecoin backed settlement and services and cards. Um, how it is managed in practices. So these are the product parameters we can see from the risk governance point of view. It has to be fully liquid. We have to have untested and audited proof of reserve, right? We are holding, and proof of reserve can be, as we spoke, it can be gold as well, depending if your stablecoin is a gold-backed stablecoin. There has to be counterparty risk, custody smart contract, failure mechanism, audits. We have to have proper insurances around it. We have to have third-party audits, which is I think is a standard. It's not unique to stablecoin. Even in Mabrook, when we are doing real-world asset tokenization, any code change we do has to go through the third-party scanning and code audits, right? Um, we have to have a proper risk management and operational testing before we roll it out to the audience. Uh, I think the biggest challenge comes in, and this is where many stablecoin would fail, right? The pitfall is this that we have to have a kind of a disclosure or a way to communicate our reserve. And then when we are having reserve, we should not have a concentration also. Like we should not have like 90% dollars and in our example 10% gold, right? To keep the diversification in a way that the stability of the stable coin cannot be challenged. Right. And we can talk about it. There are many creative ways. Maybe you know it better. We can discuss about it. AML and CFT is a challenge also, especially when so AML and CFT in a Swift transaction would be very matured, right? So I can track and I can know I can do extended due diligence on the customer. I have tools available, but what about the blockchain, right? The network. So the moment a stable coin move, then how can I track where it's traveling? From America to some sanctioned country. Then if it is sanctioned country, then how I'm screening, right? So those tools we have to do. So in Mabrook, for example, we are doing some sort of reports which are called STR. STR means you have to provide that to the regulator, which is like suspicious uh, transaction report. right? So for example, we saw our stable coin or token move from um, country A to country B. Country B is a sanctioned country, and we blocked it, and we have to report it to the regulator. So tools like chain analysis is very powerful, and there are many other tools which are available that we can put to track the movement on the chain. And if something happened, then we have to freeze, right? So we have to program the stable coin or the code or smart contract in a way that if we see a suspicious transaction, then we should uh, freeze the token movement. Sharia specific discussion, we have to have it Sharia compliant. It has to be reviewed. Sharia supervisory board standard process of is review, approvals, continuous audits, all that apply. Um, I did spoke about Genius Act last week, so I'm not going to talk about it. But US Genius Act is the most what you call famous framework, which was approved, and because of we had like other regimes, other countries who have been doing it, but the moment September US Genius Act was passed, the we saw a spike in the adoption of stablecoin really high, right? And that's why you see that 33 trillion on the circulations. Um, for us in Islamic finance, we have to have a purpose-built halal money raise, right? So we have to make sure that the structuring of the stablecoin has to be Sharia compliant. We have to have reserve. We have to have make it asset backed somehow, right? That's the thing we need to crack, and we have to see the yields and profit share are done. Like what is that loop looks like? Who will get what? We have to disclose it to our end user. Tokenized assets settled on a stablecoin. Sukuk real estate and other gold trading, we know that they are Sharia compliant. If they are Sharia compliant, then that we can use it as a DVP, delivery versus payment, right? Using stable coin. So anybody can buy, for example, a real asset from Mabrook using that stable coin. That's the one of the use case we have in Mabrook. The zakat and the trade payment and the Sharia reporting, as we have discussed, I will not repeat it. That these are our obligations. The issuer or the platform has to have this without any compromises. So we need to give the right tools and transparency for the user to basically use it. Um, so I think that's it. I just wanted to set the stage and then stop the presentation.
Thank you, Fahad Bhai, for the detailed introduction. I think stablecoin is something that should be discussed more than an hour, and because till now we have been talking about tokenization. Now we are using the word stablecoin. So I think the first part or the first question that comes into mind of the participants is that what was the token. Now the word is different, that is a stable coin, and like we have another word that is a very viral word, that was cryptocurrency. So I would like to ask you that how will you differentiate in a very simple sentence these three things?
Cryptocurrency, stablecoin, and the third one is what?
Token.
Token. Oh, that's a good question. So cryptocurrency, I would say, by the way, that's a mind interesting question. So cryptocurrency is, I can have a use case of a cryptocurrency for some, let's say Bitcoin. So what is the difference between Bitcoin and a stable coin? So Bitcoin is also used for payment. So what is the use of stable coin? Of course, Bitcoin in the insanity is not regulated, number one. Number two, nobody have any proofs of reserve for that. No oversight. Neither is Sharia compliant for me at least. A stable coin would be we have to have a proof of reserve, and stable coin hardcore use case is to be stable and for the money movement, right? Money movement on the rail. Token is basically falls into both. So we can call Bitcoin as a token, we can call a cryptocurrency as a token. So any asset which is on crypto rails, in my definition, It's a general classification of the token. Maybe I'm completely wrong. I do apologize.
No, thank you for it. And actually, it shows that it is, especially in this sphere or in these terminologies, it's more about the concept and the discussion behind it. So when we take an example, it makes it simple. And therefore, instead of actually defining these terms, I think taking the use cases, taking the examples, what is happening, and it simplifies the discussion. So thank you for the answer. Now, for example, you will start the question, or
Yeah. So I would ask a question. Maybe let's start with this one. So, Sheikh, I will just turn the table. I will ask you, what is the difference between a stable coin like USDC and Bitcoin?
okay, I didn't listen to that. A stable coin, like USDC and what?
USDC and a Bitcoin. What is the
Bitcoin.
difference?
Okay. So, in how I would like to respond is that actually that the word stable is the keyword in the stable coin, and Bitcoin is not a stable coin. So actually, Bitcoin is linked to nothing, pegged by nothing, backed by nothing. So a Bitcoin may fluctuate based on the trust of the people. The trust of the people may go up and down, very volatile, and like how it was in 2009, and now what it is, and now how it was, I think, before 2 3 years. So Bitcoin is actually backed by nothing. Stable coins are basically backed by something stable, and that is like a US dollar, or like as you gave the examples of Bahrain, or dinar, or Qatari riyal. So backed by something, and backed by something which is very stable. So the value of that particular thing does not fluctuate a lot. So this is how I would like to differentiate between a Bitcoin and a stablecoin.
Correct. And the matter of fact is that why it should not fluctuate is very simple. That the stable coin has to be converted. Nobody is using a stable coin as a Bitcoin, right? So Bitcoin is more people are geared making it like an investable asset, right? Stablecoin, however, is not a investable asset. It's not giving you any yield. So why are you using it? If you are holding a stablecoin, most likely you're trying to hedge, as I say that to the currency, and it has to be stable because when you are converting, it has to give you the the conversion rate, right? The whole purpose of it is that when I'm transferring, why we use US dollar is today to do trade is because there's a petrodollar behind it and there's a whole story which I never liked, but we are using it because there's 78 or 79% of the entire settlement on this planet is is backed by dollars. All right, very unfortunate. So, Sheikh, let's talk about the Sharia, the core of it, right? So, can a stablecoin be structured as a Sharia compliant way? If yes, then can you help us understand in a plain layman term how? Because a lot of people here would want to understand that. Maybe they are consumer or some folks like me, they are planning to launch their own stablecoin, right? So, can you help us understand that?
Okay, so like whenever we talk about the Sharia compliance, actually, we need to understand the kind of contract that is happening behind this technology. So when we talk about stable coins, actually, there should not be any riba. Like riba can happen in US dollars. Similarly, it can happen in anything which is representing the currency. So actually, there should not be any riba, gharar, maisir. And I think the more important part is what actually it is backed by. So making it simple, like it is USDC, then actually it is backed by the US dollars. So whenever you are having some transaction of USDC, actually you, because it is backed by USD, therefore many of the Sharia scholars say that the all the rules of currency trading apply on stable coins, those backed by currencies. So actually, the possession rule and all these things are important. Now, what the tech what the tech has revolutionized, or things should be seen or researched, how the position will happen. So, like for example, when I have a dollar, when I have dollar bill in my hand or in my bank account, it is said to be the position. Now, if now I'm getting a USDC, which has actually no physical appearance, then if like I have it in my app, or it is reflected in my app, then which app, how it is backed by the government, all these things are important. But as far as the Sharia compliance is concerned, it is more importantly about which currency it is backed by. And number two is actually doing any kind of impermissible trading through US dollar is just like all the rules apply on USDC. So, for example, if I cannot buy wine, pork through US dollar, similarly, I cannot buy through USDC, and because it reflects that US dollar fiat currency behind it.
I think that's a very important point. I remember my Dubai Islamic days when we were rolling out this credit card. One of the questions Sharia Service Supervisory Board asked me, okay, Fadi, you're going to launch a credit card. People are going to go and send to cinema and then they will watch movie. Or they will go to a bar and they will buy alcohol. What is your parameter? So yeah, absolutely, that's a very, very important point, Sheikh, that you have mentioned. Then we have to not only be concerned about only the stability of the stable coin when it comes to Sharia compliance and being asset backed, but the usage also. So we have to have, just like I was giving example on the travel rule, that if it is a suspicious transaction, we go and we report it to the regulator. Somehow on the stable coin, we have to plan it out that or program it that it cannot be used to buy alcohol, tobacco, any Sharia non-compliance product. It should not be able to buy. So somehow we have to deactivate that conversion into those merchant site, right? So that's a good one. Okay, so I say, by the way, I've seen the poll. The second poll, and I do apologize, couple of folks are not able to see the poll somehow. So I had to restart my computer just before this webinar, and I think the Zoom crashed. Maybe that's the reason. So the second question was, what is the biggest advantage of a stable coin? And that's great. I think people are really technical here. They understand. So 31% are saying faster payment. That's the advantage. Price stability, 54%, and global accessibility, 15%. Yeah, absolutely right. I think those are the use case. And uh, at the BIS level, right? So the Swiss-based BIS who um, do the payment modernization, sort of the ISOs and change the settlement policies, right? That BIS also has started stablecoin pilot. Um, the other question I had, I'll just move to the another poll. What concerns you most about stablecoins? 46% are rightly saying is Sharia compliance, the one you just discussed. And then 23% are saying regulation. Yes, regulation has to be there because if your stablecoin is not regulated, there is no guarantee that it will be there tomorrow morning, right? So all the insurance, the custodian, the proof of reserve, right? All those are oversight by the regulator. Security is 8%, transparency of reserves 23%. Very good, very good. I would say, Prashant, in the Sharia compliance, how would you see an ideal Sharia compliance given to the consumer? Like how, as a user, if I go to USDC, for example, and tomorrow USDC becomes Sharia compliant, right? For some reason. As a consumer, how a USDC issuer will put those parameters there for the user to say it's halal, right? Because remember that putting a Sharia certification sticker on something does not mean it's halal. The Sharia Supervisory Board has to really review the entire process, right? The issuance, the consumers, and all that. So, what is that ideal Sharia certification looks like? What should a USDC company like to put? for consumer to
Uh,
accept?
I think that I had a chance to work on some when they were having some their white paper about Sharia compliant stable coin, and they were trying to have the Sharia compliance on chain. Uh, First of all, the reserves is very important question. The core question is actually what are the reserves? Are there any US Treasury bills? And this is a very not an easy question for the issuer, because normally many of the coins are having it, and sometimes they are going to have it like more than 100%. So majority of the part, or like 100% is backed by USD T bills, and then some other assets as well, which is again that 100%. So first of all, reserves. Which kind of reserves are there? It should be non-interest bearing, and it should be Sharia certified instruments. Number two is actually the presence of a Sharia board, and very active Sharia board who was in there and oversight on it, and has an authority. I'm not sure what should be the frequency of actually reviewing the standard. It can be monthly as well, because many of the things do change. So there should be an active independent Sharia board. Number three is the full frequent independent attestation. It's not only about from the Sharia board. I think these are the independent auditors, the auditors of the governance system, the auditors from the financial sides are also important. Moreover, there should be no freeze or blacklist functions at the smart contract level. For example, because as the whole system is governed by the smart contracts, so smart contracts should be compliant as well. Like for example, we when we talk about the normal compliance, we talk about the compliance of the contracts. Similarly, in the compliance of anything that is based on blockchain, smart contracts are very integral, because they are not written in that particular language, but the coding can be impermissible as well. So, for example, just like writing an interest bearing contract is impermissible, I is similarly writing an something related to interest based code based smart contract is already also impermissible. Similarly, yield, if there is any kind of yield, so what are the profit sharing mechanisms? If it is based on qars, it is based, then actually there should be no yield. And if it is based on like wakala, or what should be the profit and loss sharing details. So these should be compliant as well. So there is an array of conditions, and all these should be fulfilled. And from a consumer's perspective, I think he should be cautious about the Sharia board who are responsible, and actually the reserves they are claiming to have, and the attestation and accreditation and auditing processes, etc. It shows the depth in the system.
That's great. So I think so. Reserve should not be interest bearing. We have to use a Sharia certified instrument backing it. We have to have independent Sharia supervisory board oversight, continuous audit. We have to have non Sharia related audit as well, like regulators who can go and check the proof of reserve and report it to Sharia that this is the position of this stable coin. And then if we are driving our business model on the stable coin is driving some sort of a yield, then that yield has to follow the profit sharing mechanism using trade fee or increase in the if you are using some assets, so those yield, not the money yield, right? So that is, I think that's the just like when I open a conventional bank fixed deposit account, I am getting interest on my money. It is not a PNL money, it's like an interest bearing money. So thank you for that. Um, so Shiv, okay, let me simplify it. So we know that the two popular use cases is USDT and USDC, right? Circle and Tether, those organizations. So they don't have Sharia certification, we know. Are they Sharia certified? Like Couldn't I just use them and I don't need to use a Sharia or to worry about the Sharia certification of those? Just like I use dollar today. Are they Sharia certified or compliant?
Uh, Actually, the Sharia part, the Sharia perspective is uh, relevant on two layers. First of all, the governance system, the system that is designed by the organization, the people, the smart contracts written behind it. So these should be compliant. So when you talk about the system, if you want to make that system compliant, all the details, the contracts, the parties, etc., should be compliant. The second layer is actually using that particular money into something. So, for example, if they are pegged with something that is compliant and actually they have no Sharia board, it can happen actually that it may be compliant in nature, but actually they are not using a Sharia board. But using that particular money in where I am using it, it is something that is the second level, and it is from the consumer's perspective. So the easier part is actually the system should be compliant. So actually, I should have a confidence on the system where, although I'm not doing a stable coin transaction for any kind of yield of any for investments, so maybe I'm not getting any return. But actually, if I am just moving my money from Pakistan to USA or USA to Pakistan, the system that is being used should be compliant as well. So yes, although we normally do use some systems which are not compliant, but actually we don't have any alternate. So we have to use that particular system to move our money from one place to another. But actually, the ideal compliance level is that we should have a system. The integral parts of that, so all the integral parts of the system should be compliant.
Great. And then I don't know. For example, USDC, when we were talking about you have to have a proof of reserve for the stable coin. That's the basics, the fundamental. Maybe the proof of reserve these companies are putting on US Treasury bills, right? So they can earn like a daily interest on that. I don't know. So those kind of things we need to worry. Of course, see, the stable coin will never give you any yield. USDC is not giving you a profit or interest, right? Sorry, not profit, interest. So that means it does not mean that they're not generating some daily averages interest from the US bills. So I guess if that happens, then it's not compliant, and then there are discussion we need to have with the proper Sharia supervisory review of that entire ecosystem before we even come into the reviews and the Sharia compliance of it. But the gist is that there has to be the ecosystem, as you say, should be properly cleaned. For example, a purpose-built alternative like a Sharia compliant stable coin, it has to have some backing. And it has to build ground up using the Sharia uh, compliance. Meaning, okay, let's do a quick use case would be let's do a stable coin backed by gold. Fine. Thank you very much. It's a very simple stable coin issued against the gold. So the if you have a equivalent amount of gold reserve, you can issue a stable coin account. So thank you for that. I think we have got like 10, 12 minutes and there are so many questions and you rightly said that we cannot keep everything into 1 hour. With one thing, I will just request everybody to maybe put a question on the Q&A, or they can start raising their hand so I can open their mic, and they are feel free to open your camera also, no problem. Don't shy and ask a question. So while you guys are doing it, again, remember you can put Q&A on the Q&A control on the Zoom, or you can simply raise your hand and I will let you chime in. Um, I will just summarize one thing that if somebody wants to launch a stablecoin, I'm just stating the knowledge. We have to have a proper white paper, as you rightly said, a white paper coming in, just like a cryptocurrency would do a white paper, and it has to be reviewed by the for us for Mabrook. It's very important. Has to be reviewed by the Sharia Supervisory Board or the subject matter expert. Um, we need to have the issuer of the stablecoin need to have licensing. They have to design and prove the reserve structure, how the reserve structure of that will work. For example, a portion of reserve could be a USDC itself, or gold bars held in some vaults, right? And once we that is qualified, reviewed, approved by the regulator, then the custody of the stablecoin, who's the third party custody, or has to be done using some service provider. Those service provider again are reviewed and are certified by the regulators. They are insured. The most important thing in the custody is the segregation of the assets. So the stable coin is gold and USDC. We have to have a different segregation and proof of reserve reporting for that. Then we talk about the technical issuance of it. So platform like Mabrook or alike, they can be used to basic program and start issuing the stablecoin in the pool. At the once the circulation happen, we have to have a continuous transparency audit and attestation of whatever we discuss, starting from the proof of reserve to the asset segregation to the AML KYC, travel rule transaction reporting, and then the risk management around it. And this is how, in a nutshell, stablecoin operation is very straightforward. But of course, the fundamentals are how you are structuring it. Okay, so I haven't seen any hand raised yet. So it sounds like everybody is either pretty happy or pretty upset. I don't know.
I think they may be uh, writing some questions. Let's
I
see.
don't see any. I don't see any question. Neither on the chat. So folks are really quiet today. So
Uh,
any question from anybody, they can raise hand, or I don't know, it's a Zoom glitch or something, or you can just put a question on your webinar chat. Okay. So we have got Smaila Muhammad to ask the question. All right. There you go. You got it, Smaila. Please ask your question. Ismaila, y- you are unmuted. You can ask your question. Okay. I think maybe, okay, let me mute and unmute. Or I'm sure uh, Ismail is speaking, but we cannot hear somehow. If you are hearing us, of course you are. We cannot hear you. Maybe you can type in the question. Anybody else want to ask any sort of a question? Okay, while we are doing it, one of the things, Sheikh, I'll share my experience that product structuring when we are doing product structuring, as I was explaining, the proof of reserve and the custody management and audit and attestation and what you call asset segregation reporting and the transaction reporting for stable point. Um, I also learned that just like any asset, we have to be mindful about uh, the design. If it is, for example, USDC plus gold design, right? Then we need to have proper valuation, third party agencies, which has nothing to do with the technology. Who is valuating my gold in the world, right? Who is valuating the stability of the USDC? Somebody has to go because those are the hardcore asset tied where I am issuing the stable coin. Then the custody management we discussed, the insurance we discussed, then the tax treatment also impacts. And what I found, because there's a lot of, if I'm holding stable coin in Pakistan and if I'm holding stable coin in US, in America, there's a difference of there will be a difference of the tax treatment. US already and Canada is also heading towards having taxation regime around it. I kind of read somewhere some article that Trump is very bullish and is trying to make digital asset tax free. I don't know, but the tax treatment also applies. So holding does not mean that it's tax free. right? It applies. It really depends where you are holding the stake, in which country. Okay, so I see a couple of comments coming here. My question, okay, I will read it. Say, thank you very much for moderating it. My question on proof of reserve confirmation as a regulator: how did we ensure it's genuine and purely gold is used to the reserve? Very good question. I think that's the challenge the world had. That how the equivalent amount of dollars we have, do we the US have the gold? Go ahead, Chef. Do you want to answer this question? Yeah.
I think Harvey, it is more of your domain. Actually, how to guarantee that and how to check it.
Yeah. Again, see, Ismail, a very good question. The proof of reserve, when you go log into Mabrook and you go to the wallet and there's a stable coin, all right? Mabrook cannot tell you that the the proof of reserve is X. No, it has to be third party. So in our platform, there should be a control function where continuously we are refreshing it with the proof of reserve position, balance in dollars, right? Whatever the asset is. And there has to be a regular third party audits. And we have to have a regular daily reporting to the central bank regulator. Now, for the sake of transparency for the consumer, as the rightly question you asked, the third party audit and the state bank, sorry, the central bank reporting is very important. All right, and for that I need to have license. So first of all, in any platform you go, you have to see the license that the platform carry the license. If so, then how the proof of reserve disclosure is. Please read those disclosure, and then once you read your disclosure, in disclosure you will find all the things which a platform is basically doing to ensure that the proof of reserve is transparent, and then you find those information and then you go from there. That's how you get the confirmation.
Sanjay, as you rightly mentioned that the sphere of the stable coin, the regulatory responsibilities are core part of the whole system. It is just like some other people are issuing currencies within the country. So that's why regulator has been very cautious on it. And when we talk about the licensing and whatever the use case is, the regulatory part, the audit part, and all these parts are very important, and that is why the all these different things like frequency of audits and the daily reports, etc., are going to be something new that was not present in other even in banking systems, because it is just like you are becoming yourself as part a representative of that currency, the core currency issuer. So that is why Sharia compliance also should rely on these validations as well, because as you have mentioned, I think multiple times, that Sharia mandates makes it mandatory for the people to follow the law of the land. So and within this regime, I think issuing the currency is core part of the state. So all these regulations, validations, accreditations, and audits are very important.
Correct. And it does not have to be like a sophisticated view. I mean, if I want to give a confirmation of my proof of reserve, as for the sake of transparency, I can just put, okay, in sci-fi, we are saying that you have to have the possession of the asset before you even use it, right? For your consumer. So I can show some sort of a good delivery receipt. Then I can say that, okay, if it is a gold bar, that these are the serial number I can publish, right? Reviewed and approved by the evaluators, the independent count, the physical inspection report. So all those reports, if I'm providing, I think people will be very happy to use it. Um, of course, anything we are taking from the evaluator, the serial number and everything, we have to have a reflection of the same on the blockchain also, right? So it's not only a PDF, but when we are on the blockchain, we have to also publish and maintain those ledger of the serial bar and the USDC coin that we have purchased, like in a report format. So, give me a inventory count of gold bar. Give me your inventory count of like an SKU serial number of your tokens for the stable USDC. So the moment I put it, and then there's a continuous validation is going on, attestation is going on, the purification report is also generated and reviewed by SSB, Sharia Supervisory Board. I think we should be very great, very good, in very good position. The beauty of the Sharia Supervisory Board is that even the oversight of the regulator is there and the third party evaluators are there. The audit compels us to do many things in terms of risk management, in terms of ensuring that it's always backed by the asset. The moment Sharia Supervisory Board sees that there's some fishy reporting path is doing, because we cannot get where is the asset backing this stable coin, right? Everything will start falling apart, and this is where I need to keep up with the Sharia. The moment I start keeping with the Sharia, I will ensure that the entire ecosystem is safe and secure. So, very good question, Ismaila. Any other question from anyone else? I think we are done. We are 1 minute past. Okay. So I think it was a very interesting topic today, and I really like the interaction of everybody. Thank you very much. And I know that many learned people are on the bench. Please feel free to give us any feedback you have, um, uh, because we need to help each other to learn. And this is the new territory, right? Um, and try to think, study more about the stable coin, things about the regulations, because this thing is like coming really fast. As you have seen, 33 trillion in the transaction volume and 313 billion market cap. So I think it's a very, very evolving space, a regulated space. Learn, about it. Start doing your use cases. Start seeing what you can do among yourself to basically implement this technology and create some Islamic use cases around it. All right. I think with that, we can, Sheikh, with your permission, we can conclude the webinar today. Inshallah.
Okay, inshallah.
All right.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, everyone. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.